Can I welcome everybody to the July meeting of the Combined Authority? Pleased to see so many members of the public here, that's great. Before getting into the detail of the meeting, just a few housekeeping points as usual. Can I please remind everybody that all mobile phones should be turned to silent for the duration of the meeting, and to ensure that everybody in the chamber can hear the debate. Can I please ask that members and those presenting before the microphones. Finally, as usual, the meeting is going to be filmed by officers from the Combined Authority and will be available on the Knowsley Council YouTube channel later today. So, those are the opening remarks. Straight into the agenda. Item 1 is apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence, Angela, please?
Yes, Chair. Apologies have been received from St Helens representatives, Councillor Grunwald and Councillor Bowden. We've also had apologies from our associate members at West Lancashire and Warwickshire.
Okay, thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. Have any declarations of interest been received?
None received, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting of the Combined Authority held on the 19th of June. The minutes are in your pack, pages 1 to 10. Can I ask, are these approved as a correct record of that meeting? Is that agreed?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item 4, the potential devolution of powers and funding to the Liverpool City region. I'm simply going to move that we note this report. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Thank you. Item 5 is the International Festival for Business 2016 Local Growth Fund approval. And John, you're going to take us through this, please?
Yes, just very briefly, members will be aware that funding for the IFB 2016 was included in the City Region's Growth Plan. It's managed on behalf of the CA by Liverpool Vision, Liverpool City Council. The business case for this has been submitted to the government, and this report is seeking formal approval to use 5 million of the growth deal funding that was earmarked for this purpose for exactly that purpose for the IFB. The original financial profiling of this expenditure had all 5 million being spent next year, effectively in 2016, but there's so much work that needs to be done up front of that. This report's also seeking approval to bring forward 3 million of the 5 million into the current financial year, because that's effectively when those resources will be required. That can be managed by Mersey Travel under its accountable body role, supporting the CA, and we've been having quite a lot of dialogue with Liverpool City Council to make sure that resources are available when they are needed. There's a further recommendation that Liverpool Vision present an update on progress and plans at an appropriate point this year, so that members are aware of progress on IFB 2016 delivery. Also, just further to note that some of the figures in the report have been removed because, well, for reasons of commercial confidence. Those figures obviously have been part of the business case that was submitted and approved. In particular, the table 18 might be confusing. It doesn't include the financial information for that reason. That's all I propose to say, and I'm happy to answer any points.
Okay, thanks, John. Joe?
Yeah, looking at the report, Jay, I think it's clearly good news. Government asked for this to be put in our group bit because UKTI are delighted with IFB and how it how it came to fruition and developed. If you look at that table on page 17 in terms of the private sector investment within the export sales, the jobs created over 3 years, the GVA. I think one of the things that is clearly within that is how it benefits the UK. When we have this presentation, before that presentation is made in terms of how it's progressing, can I suggest that somebody from Vision or the leaders on this particular project discuss with the leaders of the local authorities or the chief execs or the business advisors as to how we can try and maximise the opportunity for the city region within this, because clearly there's things that have changed, there are things that are changing, and I just think we can have that presentation, but I'd like private discussions taking place with how we get the maximum for the authorities across the city region as well.
Brighton Sticks Transport for the North July update. And I'm going to ask Liam Robinson to speak to this. Please, Liam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just a brief update for members with regard to the works of Transport for the North. As members will be fully aware, the main objective of the City region in our involvement in Transport for the North has been about securing a new high-speed railway line going east to Manchester with a link onto the high-speed rail network. Practically, how that's developing is that Transport for the North in the past month has signed a memorandum of understanding with both Network Rail and High Speed to limit to start the process of looking at all of those railway options across the north of England, and specifically to the City region. There'll be a Liverpool area regional study which looks at not just the current and future demand and the network capacity that we've got, but crucially starts to flesh out some of the detailed options of that new line going to our east towards Manchester as the first part of what people colloquially know as HS3, with a link onto High Speed 2. Effectively, answering our kind of requirements for high speed rail both east-west and north-south. So that is beginning, and as those options start to develop, I'll report those back to the combined authority accordingly. Whilst I'm just mentioning rail, it'd be remiss of me not to mention some of the concerns we've had about the Secretary of State's recent announcement with regard to Network Rail and the pause of a number of infrastructure projects, in particular electrification across the country. Particularly of concern to ourselves is the electrification from Manchester to Leeds. Okay, whilst it doesn't directly impact on the City region, as our electrification from Liverpool to Manchester and Wigan has already happened, obviously it does have a knock-on effect for services that start in Liverpool and the City region and end up going east to Yorkshire and the east coast. Equally, we have concerns about, within that pause, how that might affect other projects that Network Rail is scheduled to deliver over the next few years that do affect the City region directly. Things like Line Street capacity, Houghton Curve, Maghull North, Newton Willows, to name a few. And at the moment, we're involved in a number of discussions with Network Rail to gain greater clarity about where those things are up to, but crucially, continue to impress the case that not only does things like electrification of the Transpennine route need to happen, so do all of those local schemes that Network Rail need to deliver in the City region as well, and we will continue to push that accordingly. Quickly mentioning about roads, Transport for the North has also signed a memorandum of understanding with Highways England, looking at the detailed road packages that Transport for the North is proposing, particularly for the City region. That will include smart motorways from junction 10 to 12 of the M62 and junctions 21A to 26 of the M6. And one of the things that we're particularly pleased about is the operational director of Transport for Cobham Council has been asked to lead that work stream, not just for the City region, but for the whole of the north of England. So a great opportunity to make sure that one of our key officers is directing that work stream for roads right across the north of England. Equally, freight is of vital importance to the City region and to the whole Transport for the North work stream. And one of our key demands throughout the process has been the Liverpool City region leads on freight because of the importance of Superport and the whole transport and logistics industry with regard to freight to the north of England, particularly our City region. As the lead body for freight, we're in the process of starting to procure a northern freight and logistics study on behalf of Transport for the North. And as that procurement progresses, we will update members accordingly. Particularly we focus on the multimodal infrastructure that we need to get the maximum impact from Superport. Equally, we're very keen to make sure the private sector requirements and demands are listened to within the process. So a private sector reference group has been set up for the freight strategy. Very pleased to say that we're a friend of the City region, Bernard Malloy, who chairs our Superport committee, will be chairing that private sector reference group for the whole freight strategy for the North of England. So another good opportunity for the City region. Last week saw the budget, and the Chancellor of the Exchequer announced in his budget a £30 million funding package for Transport for the North. That's particularly around building up Transport for the North's capacity, and particularly its executive officer group. So as part of that, that will lead to the appointments of Chief Executive for Transport for the North and an independent chair. Equally, as part of the budget announcement, the Chancellor stated that Transport for the North is going to become a This is a very good opportunity for the North of England because it means that in perpetuity there should be a strategic transport body for the whole of the North of England for the longer term. There's also a challenge within it as well to make sure that transport for the North is not just established but actually is accountable and driven by the North of England and doesn't become a branch office of the Department for Transport that happens to be based somewhere in the North of England. So a good opportunity, but one that we'll continue to push to make sure it has the right outcome as a statutory body for the North of England. Equally, in terms of longer term finance for transport for the North, we put a letter into the Chancellor to inform the comprehensive spending review calling for a multi-million-pound, multi-year settlement actually to do all the detailed project work of those transport and infrastructure projects that we need to have developed to have that kind of maximum impact of this whole strategic agenda. That's a brief update of where we're up to transport for the North, but obviously more than happy to take any questions if you're.
Thanks, Sylvia. Any points, Joe?
Just comments, really not questions, Chair. I think I believe there's a lot more stuff going on here than we're getting told. Far from me being sort of cynical about government's role, but I believe there's a look at the breakup of Network Rail in terms of into regions, and there's a lot of all things going on. The pause in the electrification between Leeds and Manchester clearly has an impact on us anyway, because it's that was phase 1 before we had phase 2, which was the connectivity of HS3. So we're hearing things around Network Rail's capacity to actually deliver on this. So but the point for me is that I mean that in itself causes major problems, not just for the region in terms you mentioned Willows, McGull and stuff. It does for Lime Street in terms of what we're able to do on Lime Street, because clearly the timetable there means that we've got to look at the Lime Street corridor. I think what we really need to do, it's okay again given 36 million that's going to bring in chief executives of transport for the North and all of those things and throw money there, but it's the infrastructure we really need the money. So I guess for me what I'm saying is that we're not going into details about the discussions that we're having with government around a combination deal, but the reality is that we've got to make those demands. But I would have thought that from today's meeting at least we need a strong worded letter from the left and from ourselves to say about the concerns around the pause of the electrification and the consequences of that in terms of the city region, and in particular the delays that we will face. I think that's important that we stress that. I think it's worthwhile within that letter mentioning that our asks in the city deal will be around connectivity of HS2, HS3 into our region, that we would be making those requests or asks or demands, whatever we phrase it as. But I think it's important that we actually make this point on the pause of Network Rail's connection and why, and ask the questions and the demands that we are not left waiting, because it's for the growth of the region it's crucially important. And if we get that letter together with the businesses through the left and get that off, and we do it to the Transport Secretary, to Patrick McLaughlin, to George Osborne and to the DCLG, I think that's important for us. It's a marker down from the private sector as well as ourselves. It will help strengthen our asks as well and our demands, because I think we can't be left. You've heard me talk about the Leeds-Manchester connection, albeit, as you rightly said, it's important. More important to us is that Manchester through to Liverpool, that connection from east to west, west to east, and we've got to demand that.
Okay, Rob, and then Robert.
I agree with that. I think it's very important to get the east-west right. And what's concerning to me is obviously the deferment of Network Rail to do more work in this area. And the current deferment, I'm fearful about that. I think if the northwest is to succeed, you've got to get this northwest right, the east-west make it right. And what's further vital post for the whole of the North and for us to be reflecting our expertise, but also holding a key area of responsibility for the future. On the point made by Joe there, I think we will write. It's absolutely vital that the business sector comes forward strongly and clearly, making those points to government. This is not theoretical. This is about investment. It's about connectivity in people, jobs, and also economic growth. And it's not just the East-West story, which is vital. It's Line Street, Holbenkirk, and Newley Willows, equally important locally. So we're right behind that point. We'll pick it up and write a very, very strong letter.
Okay, any other points anybody wants to make? Okay, so
excuse me, Chairman, could people put the microphone closer?
oh, sorry, yeah, sorry folks. When you speak into the microphone,
Right.
but just put a bit closer to you,
Right.
please. Robert, do you just want to
Was that
say
me?
that again?
Was that me?
It's okay, I've got it. But
Yeah, okay. It could be better.
Apologies for that.
Okay.
Apologies for that. Okay. Right, so any other points, members? No. Okay, so we've got the recommendations on page 23, and then there's an additional recommendation about the joint letter between the combined authority and the LEP around the delay to these infrastructure projects. So are we okay to agree those recommendations plus the additional one? They agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right, okay, so we now go to employment and skills. So item 7 is skills for growth funding. And I'm going to ask Sue Jarvis to speak to this, please, Sue.
Thank you, Chair. The growth deal secured 4.6 million funding for a skills for growth model to support employer co-investment in training to grow the skills base in the city region. But unlike other aspects of the growth deal money, this funding is a top slice from the adult skills budget, so that means the funding comes with a number of constraints already attached to it. And these are set out in more detail within the report, but will include the requirement that the funding must be used in line with national skills policy. It must be employee facing, and it must add value to the existing mainstream activity that's already out there. The priority we have for the short term is to develop a delivery model that enables the efficient allocation of this funding for 2015-16 to support training activity that can be delivered in year. Paragraph 4.2 of the report identifies a number of design principles to inform this work, which the combined authority is being asked to agree to today. A practical approach is being advocated, which includes providing continued funding to support the work of the city region's successful apprenticeship hub, but also funding for world host training so that employees within the visitor economy will be ready in the lead up to the International Festival for Business in 2016. And this is some funding that we delivered in line with the 2014 IFB, and it worked really well. Alongside this, we're also proposing that the balance of the money for this year is deployed to support the specific training needs of employers through a combination of geographic support via existing business base and all skills networks that we have, using a sectoral approach where this is appropriate, and delivering a consistent offer to all businesses across the city region irrespective of geography and irrespective of the sector that they're in. And in parallel, some work will go on to get a more sustainable model for years 2 and 3, and this will be presented back to government so it can feed into once we know the funding that comes through the government spending review process for years 2 and 3. So the recommendations are set out on page 27 of the report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Sue. Any members got any questions or wish to make any points on this report? No? If not, then we've got recommendations on page 27. Are they agreed? Thank you. Okay, second report on employment skills is item 8, Skills Capital Investment Fund update. And Sue, you'll take us through this again, please. Okay.
Just briefly on this one, members will recall from our last combined authority meeting that the city region has secured £41 million skills capital investment as part of the growth deal. This particular report presents the findings from the skills capital investment panel for strand 2, which is about
Any questions? I mean, I think the key thing from my point of view is that we make sure this money is spent. So are you confident that by opening up to a wider range of training providers we'll be able to do that?
I think that's hopefully the intention. We've also talked to all of our colleagues in the local authorities so that they speak in particular to their FE colleges to try and encourage them to bid into this funding. And I think the strategic review hopefully will identify some niche areas where some of this funding can be deployed. But it's no different, I'm told, from the previous deployment of this money by the skills funding agency that has gone by.
Robert?
Has this been a tactical manoeuvre, do you think, Sue? I mean, the question here about making this allocation now across the board against a business case, is that something you think that was perhaps planned in people's minds, or was it a genuine attempt in the first instance to apply against the strict guidelines that's presented, which didn't have the necessary appetite and opportunity to respond, and therefore it's followed through to the second stage? It's just wondering about the logic of it all and how that's already happened.
I think this strand for improved facilities was only 4 million over 2 years, so in the scheme I think it was quite a small strand of money. And we know we had quite a lot of interest with 23 million sites and premises last time, so I suspect the tactical decision made by colleges that it wasn't on the top of their to-do list at that point in time, and there were other avenues to draw funding in. But as I say, we're having ongoing dialogue back with colleges to just really understand their perspective on this.
Right, other points? No, okay, we've got the recommendations, colleagues, on page 35. Can we agree those recommendations? Are you agreed?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, we move now on to European issues. Item 9 is alignment of European governance to the Liverpool City Region's governance structures. And Mike Paley will take us through this, please, Mike.
Thank you, Chair. Members will be aware that they have received a series of reports over recent months that broadly covered the fact that the overall management of the programme going forward will be undertaken by CLG, and that our own local influence has been reduced. Scrutiny panel of the CA also considered the role of the CA in terms of European funding and suggested we need to look at the governance structures. And the CA itself, at the last meeting, suggested that we would do a governance review by the back end of this year. However, CLG has issued calls for projects, and there is a need to maintain the structures we've got to actually maximise our short-term influence over the programme. So essentially, this paper is designed just to maintain the current arrangements while we undertake a more full review of what's needed in response to CLG's greater influence over the overall process. So Section 5 outlines the existing arrangements, which is proposed that continues, while Section 7 also updates on the technical assistance bid. So we believe from CLG that our outline application has been well received, although needs further work. So over upcoming months, we'll be doing that further work with CLG to secure the technical assistance resources that we believe are required in the city region. So the recommendations are to endorse the suggested approach for continued inputs into CLG on an interim basis, request regular updates on progress, support the process around assessment of strategic fit, and that is a live process at this point in time, and the next paper relates to that process. Note the update on the TA, and also we need to nominate an alternate member from the CA to sit on the ESIC committee.
Okay, any points or questions on this report? There's just a particular one on recommendation E. We need to nominate an alternate member from this body to join the ESIC committee. Rob?
Can we Councillor Barry Cromwell?
Okay. Is that seconded?
I'll second.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Okay.
Can I just ask
Go on, Joe.
the timeline on this in terms of that? You talk about July being the ESIC committee in July, which get on the advice from them. When do we expect the decision?
a decision. We received the terms of reference from CLG on what the role of the ESIF committee is now within the CLG managed process. When scrutiny looked at this, and the CA itself looked at this, it expressed not a dissatisfaction, but a need to maximise our influence. So we said that by October we'd look at the processes to make sure we had the most influence we could. But as was the case, just before HERDA, CLG released calls for actual projects. So they issued calls for projects. At this moment in time, the ESIF committee is being asked to recommend just a strategic recommendation what projects should continue. So we need to maintain the current structure to make sure we've got some influence at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said many times, sort of regrettably, our influence locally has been downgraded as the programme has effectively been nationalised in the hands of CLG. And Robert, you and I have written to thus protest with not much comfort coming back. I think we need to keep on pushing the case, possibly as part of our discussions
we
around
went even
devolution.
further than that, we went to court.
We went to court, indeed, yeah. So I think we need to keep on pressing this case. But there is an interim position which Mike's sort of set out. So, recommendations on page 45, and on item E, Barry Grunwald's been moved and seconded. So can we agree those recommendations?
Yep.
Agreed, thank you very much. Okay, item 10, the City Region Blue-Green Economy ERDF Investment Framework. And Alan Welby. Alan, will you take us through this, please?
Thank you, Chair. So Mike talked about the role of the ESIF committee in delivering strategic fit, and the document, the investment framework you've got there, is to give guidance and a framework for how to take that ERDF investment forward. The City Region is exactly what we're doing. Members will know that the ESIF strategy has 5 portfolios, and this relates to the blue-green portfolio. What do I mean by blue-green? Blue, I suppose, relating to our unique maritime location, assets and opportunities, and green, opportunities linking to the low carbon agenda. In order to take forward this investment framework, a task force advisory group was set up, which brought together partners from across the City Region, chaired by Gideon Bentovin, who is a member of the ESIF committee, and brought together HEFB, local authority representation as well. The allocation in this pot is actually quite small, 15 million over 7 years. It's not a huge amount of money for us to play with. So it's really important that the money we have, we use effectively, smartly, and is catalytic rather than activity that can cover everything. So the framework then is quite important to make sure that we put the money in the right way. It's important that you look at this as soon as possible because, as Mike said, there are calls out at the moment around the low carbon agenda, so this investment framework should help guide investment decisions. The actual document itself was drawn up by the committee, and I think it's a relatively well-written, robust and clear document, and I recommend reading it and going through it in detail. If you don't have the time for that, then I would say that the 2 key pages of the executive summary, and particularly on page 60 or perhaps on page 3 of the document, there's a table there which outlines the 5 investment priorities and where we're putting the money, the kind of generic activity allocated to that. On my side, I suggest the report should be slightly more strengthened in terms of the blue agenda, particularly the blue economy side of things. But I think as a framework to go forward, I would recommend that the Climate Authority endorses this framework. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Any questions or comments on this paper? Okay, so we're just being asked to endorse the investment framework. Is that agreed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, item 11 on the agenda is appointments to the combined authority. And Angela, can you just take us through this, please?
Thank you, Chair. At the annual meeting of the Combined Authority in June last month, the Combined Authority made a number of appointments on nominations received from the constituent councils in relation to its committees. There were 2 outstanding
meeting of the Combined Authority today, and remind you that the next meeting will be at 11:30 a.m. on Friday, the 21st of August. So that's the end of the business. Thank you for your attendance. I declare the meeting